Hey viewers and friends, zombie fans, welcome to another video. Andrew here, and today's video I'm going to show off my entire zombie collection as it stands at the moment. Fairly happy with it at the moment, so I felt like doing a collection video, and I've never really talked much about my zombie movies before. It's a genre that I do really enjoy, so not going to talk about too many movies, just show them off and move on, but I'm going to try something different, see how you guys like it, and give a bit of a retrospect of where the genre started and where it's at today. So hope you guys enjoyed. So as I'm sure the majority of you know, the genre was started by Romero in the late 60s with the absolute classic Night of the Living Dead. Fantastic movie. Then I think it was around 10 years, if I'm correct, until his next entry in what I like to classify the original trilogy, and that was this late 70s release of Dawn of the Dead. Not as good as the original, but still a great follow-up. Really enjoyed it. Then there was less of a wait until his final entry in the trilogy, which is Day of the Dead. So after that, even the Italians decided to take a crack at the zombie genre, especially Lucio Fulci, and I own two of his movies, which is the late 70s release of Zombie Flesh Eaters, also known as Zombie 2, and then City of the Living Dead. Then the early 80s rolled around, and Sam Raimi even got involved by making two fantastic movies. The Evil Dead, which is an absolute classic. This isn't exactly a full-on traditional zombie movie. They're kind of demons, but I do sort of classify them as zombies as well, like they're undead and everything. So that's The Evil Dead, great movie. Then his equally good follow-up to that, which is Evil Dead 2. Then there's the mid-80s release of Night of the Comet. Great little independent movie. If you haven't seen it, definitely check it out. Great 80s feel to it. Again, not a full-on traditional zombie movie, but there are those elements involved. Then of course the classic Return of the Living Dead. Love the look of the zombies in this one. Great movie, classic. Then we have one of my favourites, Night of the Creeps. If you haven't checked this one out, highly recommend doing so. It's a great blend of sci-fi, horror and zombies. Again, love the look of the zombies in this movie, they look awesome. Then there was a bit of a lull in terms of the zombie movies from the sort of late 80s to the early 90s, but then Peter Jackson came out with Dead Alive or Brain Dead. Great movie. While not one of my favourites from his, it's still a great addition to his film library, and really gory. Now I don't actually own any zombie movies from the sort of mid-80s up into the 2000s. In fact, I don't believe there was too many. There was sort of a big lull, and then the 2000s rolled around and the genre sort of got rebirthed again with 28 Days Later. Excellent movie. It definitely brought a modern take on the whole genre, or the infected genre, with the fast moving zombies. Great storyline, really interesting, and really loved it. Then of course the follow up to that, 28 Weeks Later, while not as good as Days Later, still a fairly enjoyable sequel. Then we have another edition in the Dead series, Land of the Dead. This isn't my favourite one. It's probably my least favourite Romero zombie film that I've seen. I haven't seen his recent ones, but yeah, not too bad, but not great. Then of course the Resident Evil series. I only own Degeneration, which was a pretty fun CGI zombie movie. Then this one, Pontypool. This is a great independent take on the zombie genre, something different. Really good, worth checking out if you haven't seen it. Just be aware that it's not really a traditional zombie movie in a lot of ways. It's fairly different, but still worth checking out. Then the mid to late 2000s rolled around, and the genre started adding a lot of comedy to it with what's often classified as zomcoms. So the one to sort of start that one is Shaun of the Dead. This is a fantastic British zombie movie. I'm sure most of you have seen it, but if you haven't, definitely check it out. One of my favourites. Then this one, which I'm not too sure if many people know, but if you haven't seen it, definitely check it out, and that is Dance of the Dead. It's basically a teenage version of Shaun of the Dead. It's based around prom night, where these bunch of teenagers are trying to prevent a zombie attack on their prom. Really funny, great looking zombies, and some really good kills throughout, so this is definitely one to check out. Then of course the recent Zombieland, which is basically a love letter or fan service to the zombie genre. A lot of fun. Then of course the remakes. So one of the first remakes within the genre is the remake of Night of the Living Dead. This is great. In some ways I do actually prefer it to the original movie. I had a lot of fun with this. Again, the zombies looked awesome. When I watched this, which I watched it fairly recently, it definitely reminded me of why I like just the classic slow moving zombie. Again, great effects, fantastic looking zombies, definitely one to check out, and one of my favourite remakes, period. Then we had the remake of Dawn of the Dead, and in my opinion this was a much needed remake. I do prefer this to the original. Shock horror, I will admit it. To me the original does feel slightly dated, and I think definitely needed this remake. This just modernises it all, and I really enjoyed it. Then we have I Am Legend, which again isn't a traditional zombie movie. It is, but it isn't, but I still like to classify it as one or sort of infected movie. This is fantastic. It's a remake of the terrible Omega Man, in which Will Smith plays a lone survivor, and there's a whole lot of people that are sort of infected, zombie-like, that can't go out in sunlight. Really good. So if you haven't seen this, it's definitely one to check out, but just keep in mind that it's not a fully traditional zombie movie. Then of course we have the Crazies remake, which I really enjoyed. I have not checked the original one out, so if you guys think it's worth checking out, definitely let me know in the comments section. This was really good. I really enjoyed it. Again, it's more of sort of an infected movie, I guess, than a full-on zombie movie, but still really good. Not one of my favourites, but still really enjoyable. And that is it for my zombie collection. I hope you've enjoyed this style of video. Definitely let me know what you think in the comment section below, and I'd be keen for video responses showing your zombie collection and talking about them, so feel free to get your video responses in, and as always, thanks a lot for watching.